It is time for Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek to get some playing time.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith. Thank you for making this your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles football with me. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Are you ready to see a different player behind center for the Florida State Seminoles? I am, and I would imagine that just about every person out there following Florida State feels the same based on the comments that I get, whether it's on X or on YouTube, very much the same. And just following different websites across the network of all kinds of places that cover Florida State. Even the writers are ready to see it. So today I'm going to talk about the players that I've seen through their high school careers, what I expect when they do play for Florida State, hopefully this weekend, and then just kind of a long-term projection. We're just going to focus on quarterback, kind of put Cal to the side just for a moment. I thought we might as well get this out of the way because they might play this weekend. Here's the question. Based on Mike Norvell's press conference, in the commentary was, glowing for everybody, just coach speak, and then the depth chart, which basically didn't show anything. Do we really believe that neither of Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek aren't going to get any playing time? The way he makes it sound, I love how they're developing this, that, and the other. It was almost like he was just trying to get them not to transfer. I think it's a little early to worry about that, but it was like pleading almost. If he goes out and just plays DJ all year the way he's playing, though, he's going to lose at least one of them. I can guarantee you that. But will it be this weekend? Here are my takes on it and what I expect. And I'm going to be rather candid even for myself, more than normal here. Number one, I will absolutely drop kick anything about Mike Norvell if he doesn't play them this weekend. I have a lot of respect for him, but it is an F- right off the bat if at least one of them do not play significant reps against Cal. Let me repeat that. Drop kick, I do not care. I will go off. It is over for DJ Uiagalelei. O-V-E-R. Over. He's not very good. For whatever reason, he doesn't have much chemistry with some of the other players on the receiver group, and the tight ends, probably even worse. He seems like a great guy, but it's not working. He's a statue back there. They need a more mobile quarterback. They have more success with the mobile quarterback. Doesn't have to be Jordan Travis, but, a guy that can get outside the pocket and put a threat to the defense that he's going to take off if something's not there, or he just decides he wants to go and pick up 5-7 yards. Both of Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek can do that. DJ Uiagalelei cannot, and he's just not very accurate. I've went over his stats a number of times here on the show. I'm not going to bore you, but this is what I expect. I think he will start. They really, really don't want to play redshirt freshman, and I don't blame them. I'll give them that. It's hard. But if they think, even for 1 second, that it's the best idea to play nothing but DJ, assuming both kids are completely healthy, and we would hear something if that wasn't the case. If they think that's the best course of action, especially to keep the fans interested, to keep donations coming in, to keep the boosters from turning on you, they are failing miserably. And again, I'm going to drop kick that podcast sometime on Saturday. I don't care if they win by 30. If one or both of them do not play, it will be a drop kick podcast. I will be done. That's just the way I look at it. And I've kind of done an about face on this because, DJ is just not improving. I don't remember the last time I saw a guy with that much experience, that much arm talent, like he's got a gun, regress that much. Now, part of it could be on the staff to a certain degree, but some of the inconsistencies with his ability to hit basic throws is wild. You just can't tell me that a younger guy can't do something with that. Now, here's the other side of it. People say, and I've even mentioned this before, playing freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and even to a certain degree, depending on how much acumen they had coming into the collegiate level, redshirt sophomores are a little iffy about playing time. Some guys just develop at different speeds, depends on the offense, et cetera, et cetera. But you can set it up just kind of like they did for DJ. They set up it as a more drop back offense. That's fine. You can do a lot of things with both Brock and Luke. I don't care which one it is that fit their skills, make it pretty basic, and give them some shot plays. Don't make them do post-snap reads and full read or full field reads. I mean, that's not realistic. They would get annihilated. They probably wouldn't score. That's NFL stuff. Leave that to Peyton Manning and guys like that. I get it. But you can't tell me they can't play at least a little bit in this game. So, with that, a little snippet here about Cal's defense. It's pretty solid up the middle. They got a nose guard that's pretty talented, big guy. They're going to be moving around doing some different things, but it's not like it's incredibly complex. Their offense is way more complex to deal with than the defense. If you're going to break them in, Cal is probably about as good as it's going to get. The next week you play SMU. It's a road game. Don't bring them in on the road game. Don't be stubborn and wait until the road game, or worse, after that, they play at home against Clemson. If they go through the Clemson game, as bad as Florida State's playing, and they continue to lose, they'll lose all the fan base will completely go into Boo Birdville. Probably going to happen a little bit in this game coming up too, to be honest with you. When DJ comes out, I hate it for him, but he's just not getting it done. When he comes out, there'll be some boos. It's just the way football is. Everybody knows the most important position is quarterback. It is. So again, I'm all in on them playing. I think that the fans at Florida State and honestly kind of college football fans in general are curious because it's not fun to watch Florida State right now. I don't care if you like the school, hate the school, whatever. When they're on, are they entertaining to? I mean, no. So everybody wants to at least see these guys. They have to get reps with the number one unit all week long. And I'm sure that Norvell will lie and everything else if they do it. I get it. But we'll know how much they did or didn't based on what plays they run, if any at all, in the game against Cal. You have to get number one reps. It's just a disaster. Everything's timing with passing game. It takes a lot longer to simulate than the run game. It's not anything new. But I really hope they do, because they would be putting either player in harm's way along with the team if they didn't give them reps. Is that going to happen? I don't know. But they've got to at least get somebody in there with the package to play part of the game. I'm not saying, for instance, that Brock should go out there and start and take 90% of the reps or even 25%, but he's got to at least get a series, like something he knows what the plays are, like a pre-scripted at the beginning of quarter two. There's a million ways to do it. We need to see that. Florida State fans need hope. I mean, they're 0-3. Why would any Florida State fan be excited to go to a game if you didn't think there was going to be some change? Norvell's press conference didn't make it seem like there was a lot. So when I come back, I'm going to add on to that with a comment from Bud Elliott that he brought up that was pretty unfortunate, but very true. I've heard some of this on my podcasts, and quite honestly, some of the things that I'm sure a lot of you have thought about too, because it's just really sad right now what's going on with the offense. So we're going to talk about the expectations for Brock Glenn and for Luke Kromenhoek next on Locked On Seminoles. You've heard us talk about FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Well, we have something a little different for you. Now through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every single season regular Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel at any time. Visit FanDuel.com, download America's #1 sportsbook. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime as well. So, have you downloaded Gametime yet? It's not just about getting a ticket to a sporting event either. You want to go to the movies, you want to go to see a concert, a play, Gametime gets you into the venue that you want to go to. For instance, if you're really picky about the seat, I have good news for you. Once you're into the app, pick the event you want to go to. Just type in what you're looking for. It'll pull them up. Click on that event, pick a seat, and it will show you from that seat what it's going to look like for you to the stage or the playing field or whatever it might be. That's up to you on how you want to do it. You can go through as many seats as you like, totally up to you. The other thing I like is you can put it into a perspective of what's the final price. You know how you get kind of buyer's remorse when you see an original price, then you go through some website and at the end there's a surcharge and an extra tax and all that. With Gametime, you can set it up so you don't have to deal with that stuff. It makes it a lot easier. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? Gametime. Expectations. I always like to kind of damper things when anybody with less than 2 full years in a program going into their 3rd year as a quarterback takes over. I know fans don't want to hear that. They can boo and hiss and throw things at the TV, but it's true. The number of players that I have studied, and I love quarterback statistics, is very high. And a lot of the best players that go on to the NFL didn't do very much early in their careers. Sure, there are some exceptions to that, but even Tom Brady didn't start to the latter part of his Michigan career. He started out 7th string, literally. Joe Montana was similar. I mean, there are guys like that. It takes a while to get there. Learning post-snap reads, understanding systems, and even if you're not running a quote-unquote super complex offense, the longer you're there before you play, you have opportunities to see things and kind of get an expectation for when a blitz is coming or something tricky from a defense. Even if it's not specific, experience matters. For me, minimum. I expect good play from a quarterback, minimum 400 passes in. So one season, you're basically throwing away. If they're good before 400 passes, it's rare, very rare. And I'm talking about 62, 63%, low interception rate, and can make clutch throws with a guy in his face. College football is hard. College football quarterback is harder. That's why it's still important to get Brock Glenn and Luke Kromenhoek at least some playing time this year with DJ. Do I think they'll play well? No, I do not. I think they'll be very bad for the most part. I just do. The stats bear it out over and over and over and over again. Here's an example. CJ Stroud is now tearing up the NFL. He's been one of the best players in the NFL for a while. To be really honest, the year that got him rolling was 2021. He's a redshirt freshman. Not many people really knew what to expect, but I mean, he came out and just killed it. He had 4,400 yards, and that's an incredible stat for a guy that's right out the bat. He had 44 touchdowns as well. Yeah, I know he's got some good receivers, but he still took a year. So, like Luke in particular, that's rough. Brock Glenn would be in that position, but I don't think Brock is on the same level as CJ. They probably both need another year to be the full-time guy again. But I'm still okay with that. If you're going to get to where you want, if you're Florida State, you have to develop the quarterback position. And you don't want to get to that spot with the rest of your roster. And then Brock and then Luke, neither one of them has reps. You're going to be held back. So they're starting over in a lot of ways. The transfers in some capacity either A, haven't worked out or not very much. This season is a wash. You're probably not going to make a bowl. I think that's pretty safe. The poll I did the other day, most people thought Florida State was going to win about 3 games. That's the poll I did on X. It's sad. That's what I voted for too, but it's also true. We'll see. This is what I expect, though. I assume Brock will get the first crack. He's been there a year longer. He's a redshirt freshman. Short passes, RPOs, quick hitches, a few go balls. They're going to avoid the middle of the field like the plague. That's the highest rate of turnovers even for NFL quarterbacks. And they're going to shoot the ball down the sidelines, play outside the hashes. It's conservative as it can get. But you're going to see if the guys have any timing, they have any savviness. Do they adjust from one series to another? If they make a mistake, how do they accommodate that mistake on the next drive? If they see the same look, do they repeat it? Sometimes you might see some of that. Some of these quarterbacks are terrible their first year, and they still have to go through it. So I'm okay with that. I just hope Florida State fans, no matter how much or how little Brock plays, and maybe Luke gets to play some too, they understand that there's going to be some real low lights. It's not like these receivers are murdering defensive backs right now. And the tight ends, while they've got some talent, I don't get it. They just have not produced at all. It's been very disappointing. And then the offensive line, I don't trust the depth chart. It came out this week and it said both the tackles that were out were in the listed first. I have no idea what's true, but they haven't been playing well regardless. There's going to be some problems. Do I think playing Luke, do I think playing Brock helps you beat Cal? No, I don't. But then again, it can't be much worse, can it? Florida State's got next to worst rushing offense in the country. So maybe their legs can help them in that capacity and they can escape the rush a little more. I'm looking at the bright side here. I don't know what else to say, but they have to do something better. I mean, there's no way you can tell me they can be as non-clutch on like first downs, like when there's a guy open or there's an opportunity to hit a window. He just gets behind. He really struggles on early downs. It's odd because he hit like those 2 big 4th down plays against Georgia Tech. DJ threw money balls. He's threw a couple others like that. It's just so random. Then the pass against BC that he threw out of the end zone, the guy didn't even have anybody on him. Short throw that he missed by a mile. So I say go with the younger guys. Make sure they're in a package that's very condensed, which they will do. And it will be mildly successful in some ways, a few big plays, but probably a catastrophe 2-1 over good plays. That's just reality. You got to get them through it, though. They're not ready. That's okay. DJ is a 5th-year senior. He's not getting any better anyway. So I say bring on some younger guys at this point. This season is a wash. They will be lucky to win 4 games. They're a horrible football team on offense. Not bad. They are horrible. You got to try it. That's where I'm at. I've kind of switched my position. But at this point, if they haven't talked to the young men about, hey, we're going to get a package for you or whatever, Florida State's coaching staff once again is failing. And I will have a dropkick podcast on that because I will drop kick the staff on it. Now I will get pretty ugly in that regard. This offense is so embarrassing. I can't even put it into perspective. So there's no reason with the amount of talent that it has for it to perform this poorly. And some of that blame must be placed at the feet of the Florida State coaching staff. Everybody gets blamed, but the staff, they're the ones who went after DJ. They're the ones that missed on recruits out of the high school ranks in the 21 in the 2020 classes. Florida State staff failed more than anything else for them to be in this position. So we'll see. Coming up next, I want to talk about a few stats to give you a better idea on what to think about a program and how it can turn from one level all the way up to another. That 1 year you get through, then sometimes you get banged. You get a whole lot better. That's next on Locked On Seminoles. Hey, Locked On Seminoles fans, have you heard about ROY? It stands for Return on You, and it's a new platform that lets you, the fans, get involved in NIL like never before by making contributions directly to your favorite athletes. Supporting players directly, you can help shape their rosters, retain talent, and keep your favorite athletes out of the transfer portal. As you all know, NIL has changed the game for athletes. ROY changes the NIL game for fans. Here's why ROY is different. Engage with athletes on their NIL journey. By using ROY, fans not only support the players themselves financially, but they also become part of their name, image, and likeness journey, helping them succeed both on and off the field. Download the ROY app on iOS or Android and enter referral code LOCKEDON, and you'll automatically be entered into the sweepstakes to win $5,000 cash. Get off the sidelines and get into the NIL game with ROY. Stats. We have seen some horrible stats for Florida State's players on the offensive side of the ball this year. I wanted to give an idea of what you could look at least hopefully, I mean, this is projection to a certain degree, in terms of teams that have had some success over the last few years and like see what they could do with a kid that's been through it for a year, like what they could do the next season, etc. It's probably best for me, at least, just to use somebody that, quite honestly, it's ironic because they're playing him this week, but he got a chance to play as a freshman. Mendoza, the quarterback for Cal, kind of went through it a little bit last year. I'm not saying that he's a world beater, but as a freshman, he was a solid player. Didn't play like unbelievable amount of reps, but played 9 games, 243 attempts, 153 completions. Pretty good percentage for a freshman, 63% in a bit of a pro style offense. So it wasn't the easiest, but still 1,708 yards, 7 yards of attempt, kind of low, 14 touchdowns, 10 picks. Took too many chances, didn't recognize things as well. But he went through it, right? Played 1 year, and he started off this season as the quarterback for the Cal Bears. Through 3 games, 87 attempts, 61 completions, 70.1, 589 yards, 6.8 yards per attempt. Still pretty low. They don't have a bunch of game breakers, but 5 touchdowns, only 1 pick. He keeps the ball out of harm's way. He has learned. So from a 7-to-5 ratio to a 5-to-1 in 1 year. That's why playing time matters at quarterback, probably as much as any position in all of sport. You have to get your brains beat in mentally, probably more so than physically. You're going to get hit, obviously. It's football. But you got to be able to accept it. You're going to have failures. Mendoza is probably on his way to eventually being drafted, or at least going to the combine after his junior year, maybe his senior, but he's got the frame and all that. Brock Glenn does. So does Luke Kromenhoek. Kromenhoek, I can tell you from knowing him very well, he's got a gun. Brock's got a pretty good arm. They're both as talented or more talented than Mendoza, and I'm being conservative on that. But again, they have to go through it. Just like he did last year. He did okay, but I think both these guys could do better if they got the number of reps, and specifically, again, to be clear, first team reps in practice over and over again. And yes, that means DJ getting fewer. In case you're wondering, like, there's only so many guys. You got to pull him back. It's going to cause some problems. So what? It is what it is at this point. You're 0-3. A few other guys that I want to bring up. I think Drake May is one of the better guys to use as an example. Drake was a very, very talented quarterback. And at most schools, he probably would have played right away. He probably would have. But at the same time, he was fortunate. There was a quarterback ahead of him. There was another NFL level player. So his freshman year, he didn't have to do anything. But as a sophomore, Drake May is, well, technically a redshirt freshman. He just went bonkers. You can do that if you invest in them and you fit the system to the player. By the way, this is a shot at Florida State's coaching staff for bringing in DJ. They do better with mobile quarterbacks. They've used a pocket guy, but it's better for them to have a mobile quarterback. And Drake certainly was. He was a heck of a runner. His first year at North Carolina, he ran for 698 yards. So his first year as a full starter, redshirt freshman, 43-21, 8.4, 38 touchdowns, 7 picks. I'm not saying either one of these guys are going to be that way, but if they get through a season, maybe they can get to that as a redshirt sophomore, like if it was Brock, if it's Luke, maybe it's this redshirt freshman. You got to go through a year of learning. He just happened to do his behind the scenes because they had another quarterback ahead of him that was going to get drafted. That's fine, but you need to have that year. They're both going to have to find a way to make it work this week, I hope, against Cal, but the rest of this season. Because Drake May, again, I get it. He's a rare guy, and I like using him as an example because he was so smart. And I know from being around both Brock and Luke at Elite 11, 7-on-7 tournaments, etc., they're smart guys. They're going to pick up scheme a little faster than most. And I really don't care if people think that it's a little early. I do too, to a certain degree. Still got to go through these reps and make it happen. So I think you're going to see more downfield shots with them. They're going to have more confidence than DJ has, which, again, is bizarre because he's got such a bazooka for an arm. He might have the strongest arm in college football. Probably him or Nico. Take your pick. That'd be a great contest. But between those two, and then also looking at it, you have to be able to get them out there so they can see what it's like to get game reps and build that passing rapport with the receivers. Drake did that as a redshirt freshman and all the way through his freshman year while he was redshirting, and it worked out for him. That's the exception to the rule, man. He's very, 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 very rare that you can do that and just step in and be good. I still say, based on all the data, that a guy like Drake is what you shoot for, but your expectations should be a step lower, and expect some things more like Fernando Mendoza than their second year. Make it happen. So right now, Florida State needs some excitement, though. If you go to the Florida State game this weekend, are you more apt to leave if DJ's out there chucking it around and at Struggleville, or if they play one of the freshmen? whether it's redshirt freshman Brock Glenn or true freshman Luke Kromenhoek. I think that's a pretty easy answer. Florida State needs those young guys on the field. I don't see how they can go any other route. That's just my opinion on it. So with that, please like this podcast. Please subscribe. Please hit that notification bell and share it, rate and review, and comment. I'm curious what you think about how you would like to see these guys come out and play. Like, what would you like to see from the offense? Do you think it should be conservative? I do, because I don't want them just to get 4-pick game. You don't want to put them in terrible spots, but there could be some ways you talk about it from a specific example, some plays that you think that would work for them. I've seen them both. They're both very athletic, and they can get outside the pocket, so I certainly want to see them move the pocket, but I'm excited to see them play, and I hope that everybody else is too. So everybody have a good night. I will see you again tomorrow.